Míralo. Con el aura que tiene Rayleigh. Ahí abajo lo tenemos. Con el aura que tiene. Le pusieron skin de Paco.
Vale.
Un besito, mi rey.
He hablado con... Uy,
Qué bonito verte por el
creo
chat.
que lo he liado.
Qué bonito verte por el chat. Solo pasando a decir...
He hablado con la peña
Wow.
de Yaster y tal, y parece que he
Esa va
solucionado
durísima.
algo, pero... Estoy reventado, tío, hablando con ellos.
Esa va
Me he
muy dura.
reventado.
Hostia.
Me he reventado.
Muchas gracias por esa sub y bueno, por el
No.
elogiazo.
Hacemos un
supongo.
T-Box.
Un flashback
T-Box.
de Boggy, aunque su apariencia tiene algunas diferencias a comparación del manga, como por ejemplo que no tiene su cicatriz en el ojo, originalmente solo tiene
Bueno, aquí no. En el
Ah,
manga no está tan mal. No tiene el aura que tiene actualmente Rayleigh, pero bueno, pero es que en el anime, tío, la cara de Fernando que tiene.
barba en la barbilla, y por último, en el anime tiene el cabello negro, pero
Acá os recuerdo que después nos vamos a Kick a ver yoyos. Os espera a todos.
revela que verdaderamente era rubio. Al principio, Oda tenía planeado que el bigote de Gold Roger fuera en realidad vello nasal. Tú mismo puedes confirmar
Es
esto
verdad.
si miras el primer opening de One Piece. Si tú eres seguidor de esta serie de curiosidades, ya sabrás que Oda es un gran fan de la película Las aventuras del barón Munchausen. Bueno, pues en el arco de Shabondi podemos ver dos referencias a ese largometraje. La primera es el peinado de los dragones celestiales, que está inspirado en los habitantes de la luna.
Coño.
ah,
Largometraje. La primera es el
No
peinado
sabía.
de los dragones celestiales, que está inspirado
Hostia, qué locura, ¿eh? Es que puto Oda, en realidad. Decimos que Oda es originario de cojones, pero
porque...
Oda
en los habitantes de la luna. La segunda referencia es la escena en donde Kizaru está montando una bala de cañón. En la película el protagonista hace exactamente lo mismo. La apariencia de Sentomaru
es verdad. Gracias, señor
inspira
Jurado,
de
por
Kizaru,
esas palabras
un héroe del
bonitas.
folclore
¿Qué teníamos que hacer ahora? Bueno, primero de todo, hacemos un...
El modelo de la arquitectura de Amazon Lily fue China.
Y
Como ya sabemos,
vemos
en
dónde lo
Amazon
habíamos
Lily
dejado,
solamente
¿vale?
se permiten mujeres. Es por eso que
Lo habíamos dejado
en el
aquí.
arco jamás vemos a Panda Man, pero sí a Panda Woman. Se dice que
Anda.
Panda Man está enamorado de ella, pero no se sabe si el sentimiento es mutuo. Inicialmente Marguerite iba a tener la fruta del diablo Neko Neko no Mi, modelo gato negro. Boa Hancock tiene 29
Fruta
años,
que no hemos
mide
visto.
191 centímetros y cumple años el 2
Supongo
de
que-
septiembre. En los bocetos
¡Uy! Hoy es 3 de septiembre, ¿eh? Casi la liamos otra vez. Casi volvemos a hacer algo histórico. Casi, ¿eh? No sé, es que no es la
¿Por
primera
qué
vez que
sale
me ha pasado.
así?
de su diseño podemos notar que iba a tener un tatuaje en la cara.
Porque el
pero
body
esta
es
iba a ser
este.
un poco más vieja. En 1999 le pidieron a Oda que dibujara
¿Qué es
a 4
esto?
villanos que debutarían en el futuro. Él
Este-
aceptó y
no.
los dibujó de espaldas. Como puedes notar, desde hace mucho tiempo ya tenía planeado incluir a Boa en la
¿Ya
historia.
ves?
Por cierto, ¿quiénes creen que sean los otros?
Mierda, lo ha hecho. El de arriba a la derecha creo que no es nadie. El de abajo sí que parece Dory, o sea, Broggy. Y el
Ah,
segundo,
bueno,
el
porque
pelo me
supongo que
recuerda,
tendré
o
que
sea, el de
hacer
pelo
lo
negro
mismo.
del medio izquierda.
En plan,
Me recuerda a Mr.
HTML,
Five.
tendré que
Me
hacer
extra- bueno, también tiene
place
un cañón, sí,
content
podría ser Mr. Five,
center,
aunque tiene
¿no?
un escudo un poco rollo
Creo
vikingo.
que este es Broggy, pero ¿y los otros dos? Deja tu comentario de quiénes
Supongo.
piensas que son. En el episodio 48, Nami
¿No?
viste un atuendo muy parecido al de Hancock. Para Oda, Boa es el humano más difícil de dibujar, debido a que siempre quiere que se vea perfecta. Sus medidas son las siguientes: 111 de busto, 61 de cintura y 91 de cadera. Su animal representativo
Ahora.
son las serpientes y su platillo preferido es el hot pot chino. El poder de Boa no tuvo
Es una mierda el hotpot.
efecto en Luffy debido a que a él no le interesan las mujeres, pero en el pasado Luffy sí reaccionó al cuerpo de Nami en 2 ocasiones. Incluso le llegó a salir sangre de la nariz. Cuando se le cuestionó a Oda sobre esto, él declaró que en realidad Luffy solo le seguía la corriente a Usopp, simplemente quería encajar con sus amigos. Impel Down está fuertemente basado de la obra La
Es verdad, eso lo hace. Porque esto me lo quiero ver. Pero bueno, yo estaba viendo un vídeo bastante interesante, que es el del anticapitalist.
If your policies are so
is America has never been a meritocracy.
okay, Tell me why.
Vale.
So I think that when you see wealth disparity and the amount that it gives influences
Vale.
to certain individuals, specifically from a starting point, if we're looking at America like a race, and someone is starting 2 inches from the finish line and somebody is starting a mile back, we would not say that this is a judgment of their merit. We'd say that this is a system that allows those with the most influence.
Parece que todo va bien.
So
Parece que todo va
is it
bien.
about some of the people that got generational wealth have an advantage
Todo
over
va
others
bien.
that didn't get it?
Yo creo
Yeah,
que sí.
I'm not necessarily saying that that's a moral failure. I'm just saying when people claim that capitalism is a meritocracy, that's just factually inaccurate, and we shouldn't be allowed to lie.
Actually, it's inaccurate. It's actually inaccurate.
So you
Actually.
mean to tell me nobody here can go out there and win if they wanted to at the highest
Podemos
level?
mover
I
esto
think that there's
aquí.
a probability that people can have social mobility or
Okay.
increase their economic
No,
conditions.
y
It
hacer algo
does not
así.
mean that everybody is able to. So
No,
while
no,
some people
you're
could be a
right.
billionaire
No,
in this circle, not
if you're
everybody
saying
could be.
not everybody's able to, I fully agree. I can play baseball.
Vamos a hacer una
but I'm
cosa.
probably not going to play in
Yeah,
Major League
I can
Baseball.
I can spend
Yeah.
money on a lottery ticket. Doesn't mean I'm guaranteed to win the lottery.
I agree. So what's your point? I agree with you then.
So my point is that America is not a meritocracy. You
No,
said that.
no, you said there's two things. Anybody at what levels you can have success. To me in life, there's three different types of people. You got overachievers.
Había una cosa por aquí que
you got
era
achievers, you got
inactive, capaz,
underachievers. Let me
opacity.
unpack this for a second. We got 10 minutes.
You can.
Overachiever, achiever, underachiever.
Vale.
Okay. You can find a guy.
De momento
in
vamos a
school.
dejarlo
We
así.
all remember the kid in school that was going. We're like, that kid's going to win in
Y luego lo
life, and he
cambiamos.
didn't. He was supposed to be an overachiever. He ended up being an underachiever. And there were kids in school that we looked at. We said, that guy's not going to do anything with life, dude. Stay away from that guy. He ends up winning. He's an overachiever. So it's not
Vale.
about what you're, end up doing.
Entonces
in
ahora la
life.
cosa
It's
es
how close you reach to your
hacer esto un
potential.
pelín
The winning that
bonito.
you're talking
Individual
about, quote
stories.
unquote, is wealth accumulation.
Not necessarily wealth accumulation.
is.
To
That's
me,
exactly
no,
what you just said.
If you end up, I have friends that make $120,000 a year. They have a good life. They're happily married, got 2 kids, and they chose to go live in a place like Victorville. They chose to go live in a different place. But to me, that is winning. They're contributing to
I
society.
have a genuine question for you, Patrick.
Please.
Do you think that a nurse or a hedge fund manager offers more social utility?
This is documented. 14 years ago, I made a video talking about the 10 most honorable professions, and a hedge fund manager wasn't on that list, but a
Okay.
nurse was.
Wow.
I believe what nurses do, when my father's at the hospital and I see how they attend to him, you have no idea how much respect I have for nurses.
Right.
It's a tough job.
And-
However,
but I would say the hierarchy
market-
of what our
but the
society looks like does not prioritize that in the
a
same way that
difference.
you're
But-
saying
but
that it
there's a
does.
difference. So there's a difference. Do I think a nurse is more important to the market than a basketball player? Yes. But the market wants to watch a basketball player play, so they pay Steph Curry
But
$60
we
million
both
a
agree
year.
that America's failing, right? Your last claim
¿Cómo
was about
era?
how America's socialist, and that's a bad thing. I
Footer,
assume that you're
Yes, I
saying
do.
because of
Header,
government intervention. Is that
main,
correct? So you think
HTML,
capitalism
¿eh?
can exist without government intervention?
I think you need law and order because there will be
Header,
rules if you don't
nav,
have it. In our
section,
insurance company,
article,
when I
aside, footer.
was run the company,
Sí, pero
I
no,
had to
sí, pero
make sure
no.
there was law and order in there. If you don't have certain compliance, abuse will come in. When abuse comes in, if it's a
Right.
free for
Are
all,
part of those laws like labor laws?
that can also be abused. No, it's fair
Heather.
question you're asking, but a part of that can also be abused. A lot of those guys
Content,
go in
footer.
with the right intentions. Then they become dividers and they pin the employer against the employee. So then that is the divide and conquer model is very effective.
I just want to break this down. Do you think that there are not mutually exclusive interests in owners and workers?
Do I think there's mutual interest with owners and workers?
Do you think that they
Owners
have
have
a
a bigger-
symbiotic relationship and when they're trying to achieve the same
Hopefully,
goal?
I like to give my employees equity because if you own equity in the company, you no longer are an employee. You treat it as if it's your own company. So I prefer to give my employees equity, but it's my choice. I don't want the government forcing me to give them equity. I'll give you a story. Do you remember that story of a guy who said, I pay every single one of my employees $70,000 a year? What was this guy's name? I don't know if you remember this guy. This story went viral. Socialism, what a noble guy. Everybody retweeted it, the Bernies of the world. Phenomenal guy. I invited him on the podcast. He comes on the podcast. I said, so tell me about your noble cause that you pay everybody 70 grand a year. He says, well, I don't think anybody should make over 70 grand a year. You can live off of $70,000 a year. I said, perfect.
Right.
How many employees
Okay.
do you have? Let me make the point.
I
said,
hear
how
what
many
you're saying,
employees
but
do
I
you
don't
have?
think that this
Wait
is
a
¿Por
minute.
conducive
qué
to
no?
our
I
conversation.
said, how many employees do you have? He says 100. I said, how many of those 100 own a single share of your company? None of them do. Who does? I do. You're a socialist claiming everybody should make that much money, but you're not giving equity?
I'm not endorsing this particular person. I'd love to look into this, and maybe I'll
What
watch
I'm trying to
the
tell you
interview
is that
later.
there's
But
a
what
lot
I'm
of
trying to say,
contradictions
what I'm trying
in
to say,
socialism
yes. Oh,
when it
no,
comes down
you're
to
so
action.
close. There are
Yeah.
contradictions in the way that workers are trying to get as much wages as possible. That's just guaranteed. I want to get the maximum amount for the labor that I put into it. a owner wants to do the exact opposite. It's not that they want to pay people what they're deserved. They want to pay people what they can get away with. That's just virtually true.
I
yes,
think,
because what you
I
say.
don't think that's
yes,
the case. I
because
don't
you
think
say,
that's the case.
No, you already agree that coercion exists in the system.
It does,
You're just
but
saying
I
that
don't think-
socialism. You're saying that socialism
No
is the
entiendo nada.
government mandating owners to do it, but. You're saying that markets do the exact same thing. You just said that the market price determines.
Don't put words in my mouth. I like you. You're respectful. You're a nice guy. Don't put words in my mouth.
Did you not say that markets determine market rates?
I haven't. What I'm telling you is there will be abuse in business, and if there is a person
okay, I'm
like
going to ask you the same question as soon as you're done, but continue.
there is abuse in business. Some people will take advantage of that. But the benefit
Es
of
que a lo
free market
mejor esto no
capitalism
existe.
is if I don't treat you fairly, you go work for him. If he doesn't treat you fairly, you go work for him. Eventually, if you bring enough value, guess who can't afford to lose you? I can't afford to lose you.
Do you
if I
think
can't afford
that
to lose you,
markets determine market
if
rates?
I can't
Era
afford
eso.
to lose you, guess what I have to do to you?
Do you think that markets determine market rates?
You didn't answer my question. If
Okay.
I can't afford to lose you, guess what I do to you?
Do you know what a monopsony is?
Tell me about it.
So do you know the difference between a monopoly and a
I know
monopsony?
monopoly. Tell me about monopoly.
Okay, so a monopoly is a single seller who has rare competition within the selling of the distribution. That creates like inflated prices and that can hurt consumers. But a monopsony is
¿Cómo era, tío?
one single buyer. So this is an employer. There are things called company towns. You brought up the example of Walmart outpricing small businesses.
Sure.
I think that's a fantastic
On
example.
the minimum wage side.
Right,
Yeah.
of how there are large businesses that utilize their leverage and their influence and their capital in order to determine what those wages look like in a given particular place.
Sure.
So what I want to argue is minimum wages seem to stifle monopolies because they allow people to start at the same floor rate.
Claro.
You're saying that big businesses have an advantage when there's a minimum
Bro,
wage because they can
era
pay
Ro.
more.
They do.
We are also
They do.
advocating for higher taxation rates and capital gains taxes
Right.
on these businesses that are supposedly taking advantage of the
I
system.
think-
¿Y por qué
I think-
no?
Wait. You can invest this in tax breaks for small businesses for people that have less employees. Maybe you say that less than 5 employees, they have certain tax incentives, so they're not taxed at the same rate as these large conglomerates. But that does not mean that a minimum wage is a bad idea, because like most people here said, you can't survive on less than $7 an hour in most places
You know
across
what's
the
the
country.
great thing about business and numbers and
What's-
data is every idea is getting exposed. During COVID, all the policies that
Entiendo
came
nada.
out from the leftist side, they're all getting exposed today.
Name two.
Within time, everybody realizes what works and
Wait,
what
can
doesn't
you name
work.
those policies
when,
besides just
when
saying that they
states who
failed?
chose kids to stay home instead of going to school.
When is that a socialist policy?
That is a control, because when a government is ran in a way that they're controlling.
That's not socialism, my friend.
Socialism is a
Cool.
form of
Socialism
control.
is a workers' control of
Communism
their
is the
own.
ultimate control.
No, socialism is workers' control of their own workplace.
Socialism is a form of control. Communism is the ultimate
See,
control.
you're using this rhetorical device as saying that
Yeah,
capitalism
but
equals freedom,
I-
socialism equals control.
I want to
and
be
I hear how
respectful
that
to you, and I've given you a couple
Yeah.
questions that you haven't answered yet.
I'll answer any question.
I want to go back to the question
the
that I asked you.
rhetorical strategy that you're using might be beneficial for a large media platform. It's not based in reality.
If you bring value to me, and you're so effective to my company, if you get to a point that I don't give you a good salary and I don't give you equity, what's going to happen to you most likely?
I'm going to try to start a union within my workplace, so that way we can collectively bargain on how to raise the floor
That's
for
one
all
of
of
the
us.
options. But guess typically what ends up happening?
What happens? They're
you
busted.
leave and you go to a different company and they
Are
give
you saying the
equity.
owners bust the union? Is that what you're saying?
No,
It's
that's
not
not what
successful?
I'm saying. I'm not talking union. You're talking about a different
What do you
candidate,
think about
different
unions?
person. I think in some places they work. I told you earlier, in many cases they're divisive.
We agree. You also mentioned Wealth of Nations. You like Adam Smith?
I think a lot of his ideas, yes.
Do you disagree, or do you also agree that landlords are parasites?
I don't agree landlords are parasites.
Adam Smith,
No,
even
I
Wealth
don't-
of
I
Nations
don't-
author
I
said
don't-
that.
I don't. I
He
know
said
you're-
that rent
you're
is
cherry picking. I don't think landlords are parasites. I think in many
Oh, gotcha.
cases, when you think about what's happening with New York right now, this is why I'm telling you guys. I hope all of us reunite in 4 years and we have a conversation. And I hope Mamdani wins. I am hoping Mamdani wins because that case study is going to get opened up and all of you guys are going to see
Can we
it.
can we both agree that corporate Democrats are a stain on this country?
Corporate Democrats
like
are-
Democrats that utilize their leverage and utilize their influence to
Sí, también me
maximize
estoy
their
centrando
own
mucho en
private
una cosa que
wealth is a
tampoco
bad
tiene
thing that
mucho
we should
sentido, o
discourage.
sea,
I think if it's their choice. I don't think you
O
and I get
sea,
to tell them
Okay,
what to do and
interesting.
what not to do.
So you think that like insider trading should be allowed?
I'm not for insider trading
But
whatsoever.
you just said it's their
No.
choice.
No, if you're being
You can use their
specific-
influence.
If you're specific with insider trading, that's a different conversation.
I just think that all of these are examples of why capitalism is not a meritocracy, especially when you're saying that politicians who utilize their influence to maximize their own wealth,
could be
when you're talking about landlords who are profiting off of necessity for people,
Right.
or you're talking about business owners who stifle unions for people that just want to collectively.
You could
uno
be
estará a la
right if the
lista.
data was shown. I'll shake your hand absolutely.
estará a la
I'm not trying to
lista.
disrespect you. No.
Thank you.
You've been very
Appreciate it.
respectful. No. But for me to tell you this, everything here can be proven based on data.
Correct.
If your policies are so attractive, I'm going to come to you.
Empirical
If your
data shows
policies
that
are
worker
not
cooperatives
attractive,
are
they
not
will
only
leave
more
you.
sustainable to market collapses, but they also provide more of an actual attachment to the work that those workers have. The alienation of labor is absolutely making people hate their jobs. Why do you think most people watching probably don't like the workplace that they're in, but still agree that there's some problem in America, whether they're saying it's immigrants or whether they're saying it's billionaires? What the problem is in America is people don't feel an actual attachment to what they're
What do
producing
you
in the
think
world.
about Social Security? What do you think about what FDR did?
Wait,
Actually,
do
what's
you have
your-
nothing to say about those worker
No, because your
cooperatives?
point's been made. Go back to Social Security. This has been done with, right?
Okay.
If we have a couple minutes, what do you think about Social Security and how FDR came up with it?
Yeah, I think FDR, from most historians, are placed in the top 3 of all presidents, and that's from conservatives and Democrats. I think that FDR got a lot of things great. I really like his second bill of economic rights. I think it's very vital that we provide people with housing, we decommodify things that are necessities. Do you know the difference between elastic
Aquí ya hay
and
una
inelastic
lista
goods?
dentro de
Stay
la
on
lista,
Social
¿no?
Security.
Oh,
What do
so
you
you
think
don't know
about-
the difference?
What do you think about Social Security? Stay on that.
Okay, well, Social Security, I think, was initially had as a social safety net to add a supplemental income to people's pensions. So most people going into like the 1950s,
Yeah.
all the way up to the 1980s, were given pensions by corporations as a promise to, if you work for my firm, I'll make sure that I supplement the exact same salary that you're getting throughout the rest of your life.
Okay.
Now, what Ronald Reagan did was he changed the pensions to contribution-based retirement, which means I have to put this in the 401k, I have to put it in the stock market, and if the stock market collapses,
Do you think Social Security ended up being
I
a
don't have
system
anything.
that worked?
I think that Social Security
it's
is
proven?
definitely
Like-
needed as a supplemental income. And right now, since we have contribution-based retirements, it's absolutely needed, because if you don't want old people eating cat food, we
Sure.
probably need some sort of sustainable
so
income for them.
when he came up with Social Security, do you think his intention was to have 74 million people use it today? Do you think that's what he thought was going to happen?
Yeah, and I think it's because you're not gutting the program in its entirety.
So
You can say
when
that
he came
Social
up-
Security is a failure
Right.
if you take the wheels off of a
When-
car.
so
The car's
when-
not going to run.
when
But if you
Social
continue
Security-
to buff it up and you make sure that you have good
Sure,
guardrails,
but
it can be a successful
the
program.
challenge is, a lot of time when you come up with a noble idea to try to fix something today, ends up getting bigger and you never expected it. When Social Security first came out in 1935, the first benefits were paid in 37, and it was paid in a lump sum. At that time, we had 128 million people living in America. Do you know how many people got Social Security?
Tell me.
54,000. Do you know when benefits started?
Tell me.
65 years old. So let me say this again to you. Life expectancy was 61. Social Security benefits started at 65.
Right, so
and
you're
only
saying because we've increased life, people need to work longer, right?
0.04%.
So grandma should be working at
Let me make
the
my
mill
point,
right
and
now.
then you can say anything you want to say.
Well, I'm just saying, you said as life
let me tell
expectancy
you where we are
increases, people
today.
should be working
Let
longer.
me tell you
You
today.
want to extend the retirement age,
No,
correct?
if you bring that to today, and you bring the math, exact same formula as the great FDR came up
See,
with.
Patrick, here's the difference between our worldviews. You're saying that because
Today,
Social
there's
Security,
340
right
million
now,
people. Let me say the point,
Go ahead.
and then I'll let you speak as long as you want to speak.
Great.
So that went from, math again for you, 54,000 out of 128 million people, 0.04%. Life expectancy 61, benefits start 65. Today, it's 74 million out of 340 million, that's 21%. When life expectancy is 78, benefits start at 65. Do you know who's going to pay the price on Social Security? Not my
yeah,
generation,
if we
yours
keep
is.
doing cuts, correct. If we keep doing cuts
No, because
and
you're gonna
Social
run out of
Security
money.
tax payments,
You're gonna run out of money.
No, that's not how it works. So the difference between our worldview, Patrick, is you're saying not only should people work longer into life because life expectancy has increased, but that they should work longer into life without guarantees for health care, without preventative care, and that's not only going to increase the deterioration of people's living conditions, it's also going to lead to a worse economy. Because let me tell you, 70-year-olds not going to be the most productive members of our economy. They should be spending time with their families. They should be easing into their passing away. We shouldn't be forcing grandma to go to the mill.
It's going to be on your back. You'll be paying for this in 30 years.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I think that Patrick is a really great salesman. I think that he came in and confidently sold what capitalism is. But I think that the main point of today really showed that capitalism's best product is giving excuses for its own failures.
I don't think that we should be giving these people a large platform to amass a larger following, but I do think that we should expose these people to the light. And I think that even if people have horrendous and repulsive views like he did, I want to hear them because I want to know who those people are.
I also don't think that he really listened to a lot of the claims. I also don't think everyone listened to his claims either. So I don't know how productive of a dialogue it was, but maybe we convinced some people at home one way or the other, and maybe there's some value to that, maybe not.
My vision for America is, if there's anything that's happened after COVID, we used to be here. We disagreed on issues here. This is center, this is libertarian, this is conservative. And then during COVID, we went here, 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 where we are in a very interesting place that some people don't even want to talk to somebody else that they don't agree with. It's gotten to the point that we are a little bit too divided right now, and I'd like to see America be more united than as divided as it is.
Vale. Vamos a ver más vídeos. Oh, cómo me duele el cuello, tío. Si me carga esto... Se me carga mucho, ¿eh? Es un rollo. Además lo tengo durísimo, durísimo. No sé si es por mi postura o por qué. Pero... me jodo un mogollón. A ver, event target. A mí me gustaría saber qué events hay, ¿no? Event interface. Vale. Hay un submit event. Vale, on submit. Ahí está. Ahí está. Vale, entonces. No sé qué ha pasado ahí. Vale. Bueno, creo que tengo que declararlo aquí arriba, pero bueno, no pasa nada. Vamos a poner aquí... Podríamos poner algo de música, ¿no? Mientras... Porque no veo tampoco que podamos poner así que me puede interesar. Es que claro, música con copyright también es jugármela, ¿eh? También es jugármela. Había algo que tenía que hacer para que no se grabara, pero bueno. Un segundo, ¿eh? ¡Qué dolor de huevos! ¡Qué dolor de huevos! ¡Qué dolor de huevos! ¡Qué dolor de huevos! Vamos a poner algo. 20 personas se enfrentan a un multimillonario. A ver, el Patrick Bet David, ¿quién es este? Porque este, en plan, estaba aquí diciendo que sí, porque yo, porque sí, porque tú, y porque yo, y porque claro. Es que tú y es que yo, ¿sabes? O sea... Tiene canal de YouTube, según han dicho. Tiene canal de YouTube, o tiene vídeos al menos, o un podcast. O tiene un podcast, ahí está. Value Valuetainment. ¿Me estás diciendo que un pavo multimillonario tiene un canal de YouTube y el mejor nombre que se le ha ocurrido es Valuetainment? Value Entertainment, Valuetainment. Y este pavo me quiere hacer entender a mí que él se lo ha currado tanto para llegar hasta ahí, que es un genio y todo eso. ¿Es eso que me quiere decir? A ver, parece que no. Parece que el tío... Ahora nos hemos vuelto políticos, ¿vale? Parece que el tío lo que vende mucho es el tema de... no, todo el mundo puede llegar a donde estoy. Yo no soy nadie especial. Yo lo único que he hecho ha sido trabajármelo duro para llegar hasta aquí, ¿no? Creo que es un poco lo que él vende. Bueno, voy a investigar un poco esto, a ver si cuelga algún vídeo o algo durante estos días. Bueno, pues si ha colgado vídeos hace 1, 2, 3 horas. 1, 2 y 4
Let's
horas.
talk about some of these wonderful people on Jubilee. And I don't know which one to start off with. I say we start off with, do we go with...
Hostia, flipo, Flipo. Está full podcast,
show the girl
Está full
with mental
podcast.
illness. Is that the one?
Yes, sir.
Because she actually reacted as well. So
Did she?
she did. She afterwards reacted as well. We'll play the clip. I mean, she posted it up there, so you have to see it. Here's us at Jubilee. What people don't realize is, to my right here is Adam, Vinny, Rob, Tico, Brandon, and Humberto. Yeah. Every time one of these guys laughs or moves, they don't realize I see them. I see them. Okay.
Sorry, Mateo also.
Mateo as well. Go ahead, Rob. Play the clip.
I'm also mentally ill, so that was something I had to deal with. But I'm mainly mentally ill because I am disabled in a capitalist country.
Tell me more about mentally ill. Who qualified you as somebody that's mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
Who convinced you that you're mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
What's the specific category of mental illness? Is there one? You know why I asked this question? Let me explain to you why I asked this question.
So I don't even like the psychological industry. I don't really stand for like Sigmund Freudian politics or anything like that. I don't have access to even a result or a solution to my disability as someone with a connective tissue disorder. It's genetic.
Have you been able to go to different doctors and get yourself tested?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
And in California?
Yes, but not enough. I can't find a specialist.
You can't find a specialist?
I can't find a specialist
for
who I am.
Is there anyone in your life that's willing to pay for a specialist?
Well, they could, or they would if they had money, but yeah.
Would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
Yeah.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialist?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
I'm going to have you go see two, do you live in California?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you go see 2 specialists, but would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
The reaction
You
was
choose
so
as a
quick.
psychologist. You're choosing who gets to determine what my mental health looks like. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best. Okay, so here's a reaction.
Vale.
Reaction. Let me show you a reaction.
Vamos a hacer un consolo de...
Here's a reaction.
Okay. I was kind of scared of the Jubilee.
She looks better now.
And then I realized that the only people who are criticizing me are capitalists, so it makes it really easy to laugh at them. Their only gotcha for me is that I'm disabled and mentally ill. Good one, guys.
Vale.
And I have a septum piercing.
Entonces, le he dado clic ahí y aquí tendría que hacer un console log. Aquí tendría que hacer un console log.
I feel for her. But it is kind of weird though that you're like as if you were gonna find a psychologist that's gonna be a different.
Yeah, passing value for displaying the creation drop.
We're all kinda a little crazy, but
I'm doxing her parents. Sue me.
17.
Can I make one point?
Yeah.
If these kids are for
Es que...
communism, what makes them think they get to pick their own medical experts? Has anybody been to Canada? Not that it's communist. I'm just saying, like, socialized medicine, like, you don't pick your doctor. It's a disaster. You get who you get. I'm confused. Does she even understand what she's fighting for? She's not going to let you pick the expert. But in any socialized medicine, you are given what you're given, period.
Do you think she was like that at 10 years old? Do you think she was like that at 5 years old?
No.
Or do you think she became like that?
She became that.
So what causes her to become like that?
Oh, I think she's got a screwed up home life boss.
No, pero
society.
Yeah.
The wrong parents.
And I feel terrible about that. But
breaks my heart when I'm sitting in the room. You know, all I'm thinking about, this is someone's kid.
Yep.
This could be one of my relatives' kids. I'm sitting in front of watching these guys, and of course, they don't even realize this is their job resume for the rest of their lives. You don't ever. This is 2025. It's done. If I'm sitting in front of that guy and one of my employees from HR comes up and shows a picture and says, "Hey, do we want to hire this guy?" Here's what he said. You know what? This is a resume. It's permanent. It's not temporary. While she's saying, but to me, I don't think you become like that. Here's another one, by the way. This one, I offered her to renunciate her citizenship, and she wasn't too happy about it. Go ahead.
To be free, but that's why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you are
that is why I'm anti-capitalist, because capitalism removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend the money.
Name me a communist country.
Would you give up your citizenship to go to that country? Whichever communist country you want to go to.
Yeah,
Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to. Choose any one of them, I'll give you a one-way ticket, and I'll fund it for you if you want to.
I like to be.
She couldn't name a communist country. Okay, so I'll give you the list. Go. That's so funny.
Oops. No, I look at this and look what happens when you try to take away their blankie. That girl that's mentally ill really, it's easy to laugh and point. But what was the first comment I make? It says, "I'm doxing her damn parents, and you can come sue me." Because that is a valuable person under there that somewhere along the way was enabled and believed that she's mentally ill, and now she has a persona represented by her makeup and the image she projects, and her condition is her blankie. That gives her the ability to be who she is. If you take that away, she has to be accountable in a world where you have to, support yourself and do things. And she will not give up that blankie. But she ended up with it because of the way her parents did. This person, Pat, very eloquently just says, "Okay, tell you what, I'll give you the fee. Take up your citizenship, and here's 20 grand when you get there. See how long that lasts. And here's a first-class ticket. Pick a country." And all of a sudden, she stammers because now you're going to take away her blankie. She can't sit and just howl at the moon about capitalism sitting there right now. She would have to go to a communist country and howl at the moon about something.
Your AI coding agent is only as good.
So let's take it slow. Let's take it easy. I don't know why you have to start with the gotcha.
But you're not even answering my question.
I know, but I don't know why you have to start with the gotcha.
Well, I'm sorry. Do you feel like it got you?
These are cringy topics. Why do you look? This is the same thing. You gotta understand. If you want to have this dialogue,
it makes me look bad. Oh my god.
No.
Okay, for sure. So you are like a Christian nationalist. So I would love to ask you about your views on Christianity. Right, like for example, I can ask you about certain aspects of Scripture, like for example, 15:3, where God commands men, women, and children, infants of Amalek.
Me molestaba mucho, tío, que la gente critique, o sea, me molesta mucho que la gente critique cosas porque le han enseñado a criticarlas, tío, y se plantean un buen argumento, tío, para criticarlas. O sea, si no quieres que piense como pienso, tío, cámbiame la forma de pensar de una manera coherente, no es que son malos porque son malos. Son malos porque son malos. Mira qué malos que son. Pues son malos. A ver lo que son los malos.
Well, I mean, you brought it up on Jubilee.
I didn't bring up scripture. I actually didn't even say Christianity was true.
You did actually talk about Christianity, Christian nationalism particularly, right?
Yes, but did I say that it was true? Because now you're bringing the Bible as a presupposition that it's true.
Well, no, you believe that. Okay, why are you running away from acknowledging that you believe that? Because you're not "quote unquote" educated on the matter, and I'm going to make you look bad on it.
The first
I like how you're scared of it, and because you're
I'm not scared of the Bible
it,
at all.
Well, then address it. 1 Samuel 15:3, God commands the men.
Parker, let's have a good faith debate, bro. Let's have a good faith debate.
Yeah, you're not answering.
Wait, look at how you're starting the debate. You're going with the quick gotcha on like
asking a question.
Yes, you know what you're doing, dude. I'm willing to go over these topics. I just want to know why can't we just have a good faith debate? Like we can take hours.
I asked you a very specific question. I asked you a very specific question.
We can debate for 5 hours.
I don't have 5 hours. It's 9:40.
Okay, so I'm saying I'm willing to go long term. So let's just let's take it slow. Let's take it easy. I don't know why you have to start with the gotcha.
But you're not even answering my question.
I know, but I don't know why you have to start with the gotcha.
Well, I'm sorry. Do you feel like it
¿Puedo
got
escribir así yo?
No,
No,
here's the thing. No, because when I don't even know what was the
¿Puedo
Samuel.
escribir así yo? A ver,
1 Samuel 15:3, God
tan
says
sencillo como
to
probarlo.
Saul and his men, the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek.
And
Right?
then
I'm
you're
asking
asking
if God commanded you to slay infants, would you do it?
Right. The reason why this question is irrelevant is because you're already presupposing that there's some sort of objective moral standard outside of us.
And I'm asking you under your view, would you? It's a yes or no question.
So,
would you, if God commanded you to slaughter the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek, would you do it?
Well, God, it doesn't matter what I say because ultimately it wouldn't.
It's really funny that you won't answer the question.
Hold on. According to a preferential standard, that one that you hold, the one that I'm actually willing to grant as well, it really doesn't matter what I say.
I mean,
because earlier you were
on call reference.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You were saying earlier
on
that
20
is right under your view, correct?
On 20.
That's not what I said.
On God reference.
You were debating
I never once said incest.
Then more.
Right, that's a crazy.
Dean holds that position.
X is not defined.
You have to answer my question. You have yet to answer my question.
I just granted it. I'll grant you whatever answer you want.
No, I'm not asking about granting anything. I'm asking you from your perspective.
It doesn't matter to
would
me,
you?
It doesn't matter for me.
Anonymous.
I'm asking you a specific.
Look,
he's
if
not answering the question
Christianity is fake, if
this is
Christianity
incredibly
is
disingenuous right now.
no, I'm being honest right now.
No, you're not.
Because even if I saw contradictions in the Bible, I'm going to tell you the truth. Even if I saw contradictions in the Bible or things that are morally reprehensible, I still, as an atheist, have no grounding to say anything against that one thing. You understand that, right? No. You understand that, right?
But then you can't ground your. But then you can't ground your abortion arguments in your Christian religion.
Yeah, it's fine. I never grounded in Christianity anyway. Let's make secular arguments on abortion.
Hold up, before you pivot, because I'd love to have that conversation about abortion with you. Right? You're not answering my question at all. I asked you explicitly, would you kill the men, women, and children and infants of Amalek if God commanded you?
Dude, I just told you I'll grant whichever answer you want.
I'm not asking you to grant anything. I'm asking you particularly yourself.
I don't defend scripture. I don't care what scripture says right now.
You don't defend
scripture?
Are you a Christian? Are you a Christian?
I'm willing. Yes, but I'm willing to grant that Christianity is false. Who cares what I believe? Look, here's the thing. This is going to go down to a theological debate. You're not going to believe in Christianity. I'm going to say I am. Who cares? We're going to have to go into theology.
Dude,
why does that matter?
It's hilarious that as a Christian, which used it in the Jubilee debate, you literally grant it as false when you know that someone who's better at arguing it than you is arguing you in front of 4,000 people.
You're arguing. You're saying you're better at arguing Christianity than me.
Yes.
But no, because all the people that you debate don't know meta ethics. They
I'm
don't
debating you right now, and you obviously you don't know it enough.
Because you're presupposing that there's some sort of objective moral standard outside of us. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
So why are you acting like there's some sort of like you have repugnance when you say these?
I just asked you if you did this. I would ask you if you did this.
Yeah, and I'll grant Christianity's false. Who cares? Because even if I was an atheist,
no.
You understand.
You believe Christianity is true. Listen, you believe Christianity is true.
It doesn't matter, bro. Let's go into abortion. Let's make secular arguments.
I think it's incredibly disingenuous for you not to operate on what you believe in. You believe Christianity is true, but you're not going to operate on that.
Wait, when do I ever say Christianity is true?
You just said it earlier in this conversation. I asked you if you believe it's true.
I make more of a pragmatic stance in terms of Christianity. In terms of even if it was false, the results would be substantially better than the antithetical views.
Yeah. So again, if Islam led to a greater level of
look what you're doing, dude. You're scared to actually debate the actual topics at hand.
No, he's not. Actually, you're the one scared. That's actually really funny.
Why would I be scared?
If Islam led to better consequences, would you believe in Islam?
No, it just doesn't matter, bro. Because look, it doesn't matter because even if I say whatever, like Islam or Taliban, whoever, you got to understand that from your view, from a you're the same as Sam Cedar, bro. You're the same exact thing. You're just a preference. You have nothing outside of a preference. So even if I grant everything,
whatever,
everything's a preference.
When it comes to morality, right? It's subjective. I believe it's subjective.
Everything is a preference.
What you're not doing
so look,
is when you don't listen to me, you're not engaging with what I'm saying. Even if it's a preference, right? Which I do believe it's a preference relating to subjective morality, right? You're still not getting yourself out of answering the question of whether or not you would specifically be men, women, children, and infants of Amalek. I'm asking you, under your preferential standard, is that what you would do?
Under my preference, yeah, let's say no.
You wouldn't? So
Yeah.
you would disobey God.
Yeah, I would disobey.
Okay, but God's always correct, right? Under your view?
Yeah, but we're still sinful people. We live in a fallen world. I can still disobey.
Okay, so but
do you think every Christian practices a religion perfectly?
Do you think that you should disobey?
I mean, ideally no, but we're all gonna disobey regardless.
No, should you disobey, or should you obey?
I just answered the question, bro.
Should you obey God when He commands you to do something?
Dude, I just answered the question.
Yes.
Did I just answer the question for you?
It's yes or no. I didn't hear you apparently.
I know. I told you we should not disobey, but we're still gonna disobey.
Okay, so
the reality.
So
it's like we should not sin. Okay, let me make it simple. We should not sin, but we're still gonna sin. It's impossible.
Okay, God commands you to kill the men, women, children, and infants of Amalek. You think, under your view, you should the infants, the men, the women, and the children?
Bro, these are cringy topics. Why do you like? Look, this is the same thing. Like, you gotta understand. If you want to have straight dialogue,
it makes me look bad. Oh my god.
No, they don't make me mad at all. Because once again, even if I say the worst answer, even if I say whatever makes me look bad, whatever's a contradiction, you gotta understand. From your view, you have no basis. This is what you gotta understand, though, bro. This is why Charlie Kirk doesn't want to debate you. And I was actually hoping Charlie Kirk did debate you, but he finds these kind of things cringy, and this is what I find cringy as well. Like, you have no basis to stand. Like, if you had a religion that was like you had a foundation, I would understand making these arguments, but you just don't.
Religion is not a foundation. So when you say foundation,
then what is?
Something you mean something independent of a stance. I don't believe there's any morality that's true independent.
Right.
Of a
So
stance.
preferences are mind dependent, right?
Wait, do you think that truth? Do you think there's any truth independent of a stance for morality?
What do you mean?
Do you think that morality is true independent of a stance?
Yes.
Okay. So then it's true independent of what God says?
No. Because this is what exactly.
Wait. So it's dependent upon God. The truth of morality.
Make this stupid argument. It actually is fallacious.
You're cutting me off. The truth.
No, because this is fallacious, dude.
The truth of morality is not dependent upon God's stance.
Because so let's define God then. Let's define God. And once again, I just find it cringy that you want to talk about. I know. I just find it
cringy that I'm critiquing your Christian worldview.
This isn't critiquing the Christian worldview, bro.
It is. It is.
No, it's not. Because even from your view, like, it's all a contradiction. You're a walking contradiction. When you say, "Hey, everything," let me tell you why. Okay, let me tell you why.
Yes,
I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so there's two worlds, right? There's one world which is a preference. That's the one you're operating inside of. There's another world which is morality. As soon as you say everything is a preference and nothing more than this, then you're already going into the purview of morality when you make an ought claim. So when you say everything is a preference and then you go into the purview of morality, you're saying we ought to do this. That's contradiction.
There's no a contradiction is when A doesn't equal A.
A, not A.
If I'm saying that morality, right, is going to be subjective, right, that it's based upon the preference in terms of its truth value indexed to the subject, right, i.e. me or you in this particular case, there's no contradiction entailed by that. Tell me the A is not A.
It's saying should and ought claim.
Should is an ought claim, yes.
Okay. And that's an ought claim. So then ought would presuppose objective morality, right? Or is that a preference?
No. It can be a preference.
Okay, so are you talking? What do you mean?
What?
How is that?
Why are you saying ought entails that it's objective? What? Are you okay?
So
right,
so what is morality?
Normative judgments would be subjective from my point of view.
Yeah, so that's the problem, is that it's a preference. So you're in the same boat that Sam Cedar was in.
It's in the same boat as God is in. God is no different from that.
No, because that's why I'm saying when we define God, we're saying that something that is mind independent. So something that is outside of us, something that is the beginning, something that is powerful. Whatever characters. Huh?
Elzar, does God have a mind?
Yes.
Okay. So is it dependent upon God's mind, the truth of morality, or independent of God's mind?
No, it's part of his nature. It can't be separated.
What is God's nature? Do you need to ask a friend? Do you need to Discord chat?
All good. Whatever. No, I'm trying to set up my stream on here.
No, what is God's nature? I mean, you're looking it up.
I just told you. I'm not looking it up, dude. I'm on my. I'm like recording this right now. I'm just trying to get your.
When you record, it doesn't just like make you lag and not be able to answer a question when you're recording.
No, it's because you have me on StreamYard, and then I have you on YouTube, like your YouTube live stream. So I'm trying to like get it on my screen.
Okay, so then you can answer the question.
I don't need to Google these answers, bro. Like, these are cringy answers.
Answer the question.
Like, I'm willing to actually grant all this God stuff to you. Like, it's all cringe to me, dude. I don't know why you don't find yourself cringy.
You can't answer the question.
Because you want
to talk about grant all these God things means You saying that you're willing to grant everything about God means you have conceded the argument because you know that I'm better at debating it.
No, I'll grant this whole God debate. Let's go into the actual debate.
You agree that you
debate.
lost. You agree that you lost on the God debate.
Why would I lose that? Like,
okay,
I can't
then
lose.
argue it. Then argue it.
Losing
you can't
presupposes
lose.
that there's loses presuppose that there's an absolute standard
Okay,
of truth
then
that which
answer
you
my
don't have
question.
access to.
Then answer my question. What is
Losing
God's
presupposes
nature?
that there's an absolute standard of truth that which you don't have access to.
Elazar, what is God's nature?
Dude, why are you asking these cringy questions? I'm willing to.
Cringy. It's cringy.
Yeah, let's concede that. Fine, let's concede that God is not real. Okay. You happy now?
Elazar,
so let's argue from two different references. Let's argue from two. Look,
Elazar, the only reason I've muted your mic now is because you're purposely choosing to not engage in this conversation because you know that you're outclassed. You know that you don't have a good position.
No, I've actually listened to many hours of your debates, of Ian's debates, of Dean's debates on God. I actually know your guys' positions in and out. They're just cringe, dude.
Respond to me. Stop just calling me cringe and respond to my points.
They're just cringe. You like, that's what I'm saying. I'm willing to concede them.
Hey,
I'm willing. If you want to get an upper hand on me,
I'm sorry, Elazar. Every single Christian that literally is going to be on your side will think you're stupid if you can't tell me what God's nature is.
I don't care, dude. Like, I don't care what they think.
Tell me what God's nature is.
It's all a preference. So even if I say his nature is like the boogeyman or the spaghetti monster, from your view,
I'm asking you, we're not talking about with descriptive claim. I'm asking you descriptively, what is God's nature? I'm not asking you from a prescriptive or normative judgment on ethics.
I'll concede God. I'll concede the whole God thing.
I'm not asking you to do that.
Estoy escuchando, bueno, no estoy, no es ningún podcast ni nada, es este pavo de aquí. Park, good job. Park, good job. Pero luego está el Jubilee. Luego está Jubilee, que es como en plan el sitio donde conocí a Parker, donde conocí a Dean, donde conocí al tío este, al que hemos estado escuchando antes, no me acuerdo cómo se llama, el Parker Bet David, o como se... No, Parker no, era Peter Bet David, ¿no? Así se llamaba. Bueno, el tío este que me he puesto nervioso porque solo estaba haciendo comentarios del vídeo de Jubilee, pero nada constructivo, todo en plan como streamer que comenta cosas y no como erudito intentando solucionar problemas, ¿sabes? Entonces eso. No entiendo por qué cuando le doy a send, le doy a send y peta. Ah, vale, hay un error ahí, hay un error. ¿Y cuál es este error? ¿Puedo conocer este error o no? User selector at event listener, form, submit, event. A ver, submit method. Document forms, my form, submit. ¿Qué es este submit? Form element submit method submits a given form. Vale, entonces, ¿qué tengo que hacer? Tengo que... O sea... No entiendo. Form data... Submit. Event listener submit. On submit. Total. O sea, el on submit es en el propio... No. Form, document, element, total. Document, form, add event listener, submit, log submit. Y luego recibe el event y hace, prevent default. Vale, bueno, a lo mejor es que tengo que escribir lo de event.prevent default. ¿No? ¿Entiendo? A lo mejor con esto sí que... Ahora vengo a console, input what submitted, vale. Vale. Joder, tío, qué dolor de cuello, tío. Uf. Tengo aquí una bola, me la noto, Tremenda bola tengo aquí. Tremenda bola.
Like, why? Like,
because I critique you?
No, because these just aren't like, they're just like quick gotchas. Like, they're not fun. They're not substantive. They're not like of any value.
asking what God's nature is a very fundamental question in a theological debate. I'm sorry, if you can't answer what God's nature
And what
is,
did I tell you? Did I tell you that I can engage in
Elazar,
apologetics?
you are literally gaslighting me when you're saying that like I'm the one asking cringy questions, or I'm not asking legitimate questions, or I'm like not engaging professionally when I'm asking you what God's nature is in a philosophical conversation about theology.
Yeah, because these are the quick gotchas that you're used to.
It's not a gotcha. I'm asking you what the nature is.
Hey, did I tell you that I cannot engage in apologetics?
Okay. Well then why do you do that when it comes to
Because dude, that's why I just told you at the beginning. I don't say that my religion.
Because you know that Sam isn't as informed on theological debates as I am. That's why you're willing to debate him against. Debate him on that, but you're not willing to debate me.
If you were in that Jubilee one, I would have done the same exact thing that I did.
You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have.
Yes, I would have.
I would have called out your bullshit.
Okay, well let me tell you why. Because I do. If you go watch all my YouTube debates, I do the same exact thing all the time because I cannot engage in apologetics. What I can engage in is results, is effects. So I say even if Christianity were true, X, Y, and Z, or I mean even if Christianity was not true. So I don't defend Christianity. I make secular arguments. And this is because when you're like, okay, let me just quickly explain this.
There are no secular arguments from your perspective. If you genuinely, if you reduce it down, you don't believe secular arguments have any validity. If secular arguments have no validity, why do you use them in argumentation?
Because
is that dishonest?
The consistency and the coherence of it, that's the same view that you hold.
There's no consistency or coherence for you that matters to you because that's a secular argument that you don't take into account.
Engage in apologetics. Okay, can you listen?
Go ahead.
Okay, I was like what you would have called a Protestant. I'm studying Orthodoxy right now, going to an Orthodox church. When you're going
Creo
through
que
the process,
voy a cambiar.
an Orthodox.
Creo que voy a cambiar lo del GIN, tío, porque no me entero con el GIN este y no tengo documentación donde mirar, tío. O sea, a mí lo que me da más rabia de todo esto... A ver. A mí lo que me da más rabia de todo esto es que yo me vengo aquí y busco en GoGin y no tengo ninguna documentación donde ver cosas. Create una RESTful API. Vale, muy bien. He hecho todos los pasos que me has dicho. Perfecto. Van Jensen, tal. Vale, muy bien. Esto lo tengo. Perfecto. Ah, mira, esto, albums ID. Get albums by ID. Ah, mira, esto nos puede servir. Get albums by albums ID. Taking context y c.param ID. Vale. Entonces, user get habits by... Vale, no, espérate, vamos a dejar esto, ¿vale? Y vamos a comentarlo y vamos a poner aquí API habits user get habits by user, ¿no? Entonces aquí me vengo a get habits by user, que va a ser una función que le pasa a GIN context, ¿vale? Y luego hemos dicho que user es igual a c.params user, ¿no? Esto es lo que dice aquí. Vale, y ahora aquí yo hago un habits. O sea, sería esto. ¿Vale? Pero esto con un de get habits by user. Y le paso aquí el user. ¿Vale? Y ahora abro db.go. Me vengo aquí abajo. Y el get habits. Uy, me he liado. Vale, yank. Y me voy a 22j, paste, get habits by user. Pongo aquí user, que va a ser un string. Vale. Primero de todo, vamos a hacer aquí un... bueno, sí, aquí haremos un db. Supongo que puedo hacer esto, ¿no? A ver, un segundo. Ahí está. Vengo aquí, Z-Fold. Cierro esto. ¡ChatGPT! No, no es ChatGPT. Estoy haciéndolo todo yo. A mano. A manita. A manita.
You cannot engage in apologetics because you cannot make the religion look bad by if I say something that I'm not
Vale,
informed on or I say it in a
entonces,
way that
get habits by user. Primero vamos a hacer un
that's
check
gonna make the whole church bad. So
user,
I
¿vale?
look bad. So I can't engage in that. So that's why
¿Y
I
qué es
do,
check
if I
user?
say, yes,
Pues,
I'm a Christian nationalist and I make these
check
arguments,
user,
I'm making secular
bueno,
arguments.
incluso podemos hacer la función abajo.
Okay, so then you're essentially what you're saying is that you are not willing to engage in any conversation about your Christian worldview unless you're debating Sam Cedar or someone that might not be informed on the theological nature of these debates.
Well, if you listen to the Sam Cedar debate, I literally told you, even if Christianity were false, I never said it was true.
But you utilize Christianity as a basis because you were saying that he doesn't have a basis because he doesn't hold to a religion.
I know, and I never said that I had a true basis.
You did. Yes, you did. You said that
No,
you have a foundation that he doesn't have a foundation.
Okay,
Bull.
yeah,
That's
it
what
can
you
be
said. I
foundation.
watched this debate. Why are you gaslighting
You
me?
said, okay, did I say foundation or true foundation? Because you said you have a foundation.
Oh, okay. So your foundation isn't true.
No, well, do you have a foundation?
What is it? What is a foundation?
Hey, Parker, do you have a foundation?
Bueno, en verdad, no hace falta que devuelva un error. O sea,
Let's say the basis, like the premise of everything.
no hace falta que devuelva un error.
Premise
aquí,
of everything.
simplemente, en plan,
I'm confused what that means. Like, are you saying where you get the truth from when it comes to morality?
Like the basis. Do you know what a basis is?
Yeah. Yes, I understand in the way that I use the term. I'm clarifying
so
how
how do you
you're
use
using the term.
Fine. Tell me how you use it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to refer to like a subjective morality, right? That's what I'm going to refer to as a basis. Typically, they're asking like, what is the meta-ethical view that you hold?
Ah, mira, Dean está en directo. Dean está en directo. Vamos a ver a Dean. Venga. Es muy bueno.
But also to try to change the mind of the people watching at home, or even to give some of the liberals tuning in some good talking points.
Sí, puedo preguntarle dudas a ChatGPT. Es más, lo he hecho más de una vez. Pero bueno, creo que estamos bien de momento, o sea que.
Before we hop into the debates,
Rose,
there is a couple things that I want to go over.
Rose, que es igual db.con
10 hours or so today
punto
has been quite a wild ride
query
surrounding Epstein, the files,
db.context
so earlier this morning
y select
Epstein survivors speak out at a rally in front of the Capitol building in Washington D.C. and they share some of their stories. And there's a couple key takeaways that I'd like to go over. And then I'm going to give you the White House's response. So one key takeaway is that one of the survivors told us that Donald Trump was Epstein's best friend, right? And that's nothing new. We've known that for a while.
Users, el name.
That is new, more specifically, is that Epstein would brag about his relationship with Donald Trump. His favorite thing to talk about, per the survivor's testimony, was how close of friends they were. And they even added on that Epstein had a framed 4x6-inch photo of him and Trump sitting on his desk. Okay? And this is coming after the Wall Street Journal reported a handful of months ago that Donald Trump had sent Epstein a letter in 2003 containing a picture of a naked woman in the statement, "May every new day be another wonderful secret." I want to reframe what we're learning about Epstein in an analogy to help you understand how glaringly telling this is about the nature of the relationship.
¿Cómo era el log fatal?
Epstein,
Creo que lo tengo en el main.
So let's take
Fatal.
another really bad figure
Ahí
from
está.
history. Let's take
Y el error
Jeffrey
directamente,
Dahmer,
vale.
for instance. So imagine that while Jeffrey Dahmer was serial killing, he had a best friend, and this best friend was always with him.
Pero log fatal.
Always traveling with him, and Jeffrey Dahmer would even boast to his victim.
Log fatal
about how much he loved his best
me
friend,
tira el
and
de este, ¿no?
pictures of them together.
Claro,
And
yo
then
a
we
lo mejor lo que haría
learned
es.
that this best friend of Dahmer's sent Dahmer a letter with a picture of a decapitated head on a plate with a statement, "May every new day be another wonderful secret." You would be either insane, ignorant, or in denial if you were to suggest that
Yo a lo mejor haría aquí un
didn't know exactly what
sprint
was doing.
F.
Okay. So there's
No,
one of the key
sprint F.
takeaways. Now, another one of the key takeaways
Go
from
sprint.
Epstein's victims today.
Go
First and
FMT.
foremost, another
Sprint
victim
F.
spoke out about how they were taken
FMT
to
package.
Africa with Bill
Functions.
Clinton and a couple other notable
Sprint.
figures. And
Sprint.
I want to ensure that
Pero aquí no hace falta que le ponga el OS
that what has
stir.
happened to these women isn't political. And regardless of it's a Republican or Democrat doing it, it is wrong.
Claro, ¿hay alguna forma que yo el log lo pueda mandar por el
has been indicted by one of the victims. Sorry, not indicted. Has been named by one of the victims. Bill Clinton.
Fatal
is
format
terrible
y
for
be
that.
any. Vale.
Her story deserves to be told.
Fatal
Her
is
story
equivalent to
deserves
print
to be heard, and her story deserves to be believed.
Followed by a call
Now,
in OS exit.
What was the White House's response to
O sea que
these
si me veo
victims
print,
speaking out? What was their response
forma
to
string,
the survivors telling their story?
standard
and to
logger,
Thomas
es que claro.
Massie, a Republican congressman who is now attempting to get the full Epstein
Pues lo hacemos con el
the
FMT
request
directamente.
and demand of the survivors. Well, the White House's response to them, as well as Thomas Massie trying to get the full files released,
Y devolvemos aquí un
is that this is an act of
return
hostility,
false.
and the files are a Democratic hoax.
Aquí vamos a hacer un return true.
So Donald Trump has now quadrupled down on the narrative that none of it is real. He's quadrupled down on the narrative that
For
it is just
Rose.next.
trying to make noise, even though one of the survivors that spoke about their experiences said, I'm a registered Republican, not that politics matters, just want to demonstrate that this is about humanity, not about politics, and now is quadrupling down on the notion that anybody who says otherwise, that it's not a Democratic hoax, that pushes for these files to be released, is enacting an act of hostility
PGX-B5,
against the
¿no?
administration. That was released
PGX-B5,
by a White
sí.
House representative.
Yo quiero ver los tipos que tendré aquí el row.
So those are the updates for the day.
O
We're gonna
rows,
have to
¿no?
see how this plays out. I mean, at this point, I
Values.
think it's clear.
Scan reads the value from the current row into test values positionally. Vale, values returns the decoded row values. As with scan, it is an error to call values without first calling next. Okay.
And we know that a handful of months ago, he actually went to the FBI and asked them
Row
to
values.
find, flag, and redact anywhere in the files where his name is
O
mentioned.
sea, yo entiendo que si llamo a... Estará por aquí, ¿no?
It's not about politics, it's about
No,
humanity.
está aquí.
And Donald Trump's response to these survivors is point blank period, inhumane. So, we're going to go ahead and hop into the debates. If you want to come up here
Vamos a
and have a
utilizar el value.
conversation with me about why
O sea,
you are mad,
value que devuelve,
why
devuelve
you
un
support
any.
Trump as president, hop in that queue.
Devuelve una lista de
It'll be
any.
a good conversation. Keep in mind, we do have some rules.
Vale.
If you want to join,
Vale, entiendo,
you just have to be a American adult that supports Donald J. Trump as president, and you have to be ready.
If Rose.next,
¿vale?
Fijémonos que Rose.next devuelve solo bull.
¿Vale? Once again, make sure you're following the rules. You got to be an
Esto lo puedo hacer.
American adult that is
Entiendo.
pro-Trump. And yeah, let's go to right now, everybody.
If row.next, entonces values, values sería rows.values.
By the way, let's go to get that very first
¿No?
guest, Brent, connected.
If
Welcome in,
values
Brent. Are you MAGA?
es diferente de nil.
Yes, I am.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, what
Y
year?
a ver,
2004.
check
2004, what month?
if value in
Okay, why does your bio say 22? I mean, I
in
don't care
array.
as long as you're an adult. I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
curious.
that's just because I what's it called? 22 was like how many medals
Cool.
I had in a certain game I used to play.
Okay, whatever. Take it away. Why do you support Trump?
So I was
Slices.
raised in a
Slices.
I've been
Slices
brought up,
contains.
It's like a certain domination.
Slices
Christian,
contains.
Episcopal. I have like two
O sea,
main points that I like to go over.
que no hay ninguna
My two main
función.
points are regarding transgenderism and abortion. Those are my two policies.
First and foremost, transgenderism is
No hay ninguna función
not a word.
como
Second of
tal.
all, we cannot
Hay un
talk
slices
about trans
package.
individuals. The only reason being is that in doing so, we violate TikTok terms of service.
Hay un slices
It
package.
sucks. I wish I could talk to you about your takes on transgender individuals. I wish that I could raise awareness and socially advocate for what I believe in. TikTok doesn't allow me to do it. You start talking about trans individuals, you get your account banned, I get a flag on the stream, nobody's having fun.
Yeah, okay.
Tengo que hacer un
That
or.
makes
A ver.
sense. Anyway,
Bull
so I guess
operators go.
I do like I do like stronger borders, but I don't have like a strong
¿Dónde están los
argument against it.
operators?
I think
Operands.
my main thing is abortion, I guess.
Okay, so you support
If I
Trump
can't
because
talk
you think
about
that abortion should be legislated on at the state level?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that abortion should be federally protected. Okay, the reason being is that I think when you infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy without good reason, you're violating their human rights. And I think that an abortion ban does exactly that to women, as I think that there's no good reason to justify it.
Binary add rel.
I feel like
binary operators.
I mean, it's not your human rights. It's their human rights that you're violating.
So you think that fetus has a right to live? Okay, and does this relate back to your religion?
Sort of, but it's not just like, I don't know, religion's kind of loosely connected.
El or
it's
es
not
el
like
último.
the main goal. Like,
Okay.
it's not like my main.
I think if you support pro-life legislation,
values.
ultimately rooted
Punto.
in
No.
religion, you have a lot of issues.
Slices.
And most of
Punto.
those issues boil down to the
Contains.
fact that
Y
your
entiendo que
religion
será
gives no clear
values.
distinction between the wrongness
User.
of certain sins,
No?
unless you're Catholic or Orthodox, right? And you told me that you're not Catholic and you're not Orthodox.
Yeah, I'm
right?
Episcopalian.
So you would fall in alignment with what the Scripture says, and the Scripture doesn't give us
Concat,
any
compare, contains.
indication that God thinks it's any more wrong to lie to your child and tell them that Santa Claus exists than it is wrong to get an abortion. In fact, the most we learn about this subject would be from Paul when he tells us that all sins fall short of the glory of God, of course, outside of blasphemy. Now, because of that, if you want to argue that because of how wrong abortion is, because it's a sin, it should be illegal, wouldn't you also have to argue that because of how wrong lying to your child and telling them that Santa Claus exists is, because that's a sin, it should be illegal too?
Honestly, I get what your point there, but I don't really connect. Like, my argument against abortion is mainly over just issues that happen in the real world. I just most of my it's about the my religion mostly connects to like the other policy I mentioned that you said we're not allowed to talk about. My main like abortion argument is like it affects women. It's not just the right to live. It's also just a lot of times worse off for the women as well.
Okay. So this is the game that you're playing. You think that you as a 20-year-old man know what's best for the 170 million American women and girls in this country. In fact, you know what's better for them than they know.
Claro, es que tendría que hacer.
Right? And I would dare you to go tell this to a woman in her face that you think you know what is best for her body and her future better than she does herself. I don't think you'd like their reaction. Because of how belligerently incorrect that statement is, and the secondary consequences that statement has on the livelihoods of women.
Claro, tengo que devolver que sea. Vale, claro, pero quiero tener un poquito de control de lo que pasa aquí, ¿no? Porque si Air Values no me devuelve nada, si Air Values no me devuelve nada, es una puta mierda. Entonces,
so it's not just like my belief. So basically, I follow a lot of these activists that are like pro-life and things like that, and like a lot of them are part of like big groups, and none of these groups did like.
Vale, eso sería error.
Suicide rates.
Trying to get.
Unaliving rates are upwards to like almost twice-fold compared to people that gave birth. Like, I think it was like. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm just sitting on my bed right now, but. I think it's upwards to they sampled like 100.
Luego sería lo mismo aquí.
I feel like rate or what's it called? Abortions.
Wait. I hate to be that guy, but what's the methodology for that study? Because you're saying that they're sampling like 160,000 women. Well, they can't sample individuals that self-unalived because they're dead. So what's the methodology of the study there to determine that if you get an abortion, you're more likely to self-unalive?
I didn't mean they committed. I mean, I think it was like contemplating.
Contemplating self-unalivement?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying that women that get abortions are more likely to do that?
Yeah, versus them giving birth.
Okay, and what is the methodology for determining that the reason they would be more disposed towards like depression and contemplation of self-unalivement is because they got an abortion?
Algo así. Entonces, primero chequeo el
I've
user,
actually talked to women personally, like. There can be trauma, like 20, 30
Vale,
years,
y lo que
even
puedo
longer
hacer
than that. Like,
okay, so you're saying that there can be trauma. So first and foremost, you're saying that you've learned this from a woman, okay? Just because
If
you have a uterus,
debe check
doesn't mean it
user.
has a monopoly over how everybody will think or
En vez de
respond to
devolver,
stimuli such as an abortion.
hago
And
aquí
second point,
un
well, you said they can
mete
have
print
trauma.
line.
Okay, so in a circumstance where they're not going to yield trauma from the action,
User
do you think
is
they should
valid.
be allowed an abortion? And your answer to this question will truly determine if you are just a good, virtuous man that wants
Return.
to do what is best for women, or
Mil.
what is more likely is you're just
No.
using this as a pretty dark
Joder.
cover-up for some underlying reasons why you think women
Mil.
shouldn't be able to access abortion. So answer the question, right? If we
Return.
know that a woman is not going to experience trauma and is going to be better off now and in the long term if she were to get an abortion compared to giving birth, do you think that she should be allowed access to abortion?
No.
No. Okay. So take this whole argument about
Vale.
you think that you know
Vamos a probar esto, ¿vale? Nos vamos al main.go y aquí le decimos, vale, if her habits is not new, tal, print habits y tal, vale, y aquí cerramos. Vale, y ahora cierro esto, lo vuelvo a poner. Vale, error in syntax en 103 y 106.
So we're going to now ignore that
103.
as it has been
I'm just
proven
saying they can be on
irrelevant.
either
One
side.
moment. We are now going to ignore that argument. It
Ah,
has
que he
now been
puesto esto y no
proven
debería ponerlo.
irrelevant to insofar as why you think women
Vale,
and girls should not
106.
have access to abortion.
I was just bringing it up because it's just a reason why some still also shouldn't.
Well, it's actually
I'm
not a
looking
reason.
at
It's
formal.
not a reason why you think abortion should be banned at all.
Vamos a
Considering
devolver
that
un
reason
bull.
was at present, they weren't at a higher risk of self-unaliving, or they weren't experiencing trauma. You
True.
still say that they shouldn't be allowed to access abortion. That is actually not a relevant reason towards why you think it should be banned.
Okay, well, I guess the main reason
Claro,
everyone brings
soy
this up.
gilipollas. Puedo hacer un
that the
check
woman
user
conception
directamente.
embryo is uniquely, it's genetically different from
Main.
any human ever.
Okay,
And
so it's a
more of,
unique
like,
human
extreme
being.
on this. Yeah, I'm more of an extreme, like when I say abortions like should be banned, I mean almost every abortion besides
check
the mother would
user
be guaranteed to die.
Then
So you think it should be banned in circumstances of rape?
print line user is valid.
Yes.
What obligation would a victim of rape have to keep the fetus alive? What obligation would the victim of rape have to continue to supply her bodily resources against her will and consent to the fetus?
Print line.
It's just
either
I
user
believe that
is not valid or
it's a
there
classic
was
analogy
an
that I feel
error
like two
in
wrongs,
the
don't make a
server.
right.
Well,
And
you're not
once that
answering my
human's
question.
born-
You're just now, in me asking my question, what obligation would a victim of rape have to continue to supply her bodily resources
Y ahora
to keep the
aquí-
fetus alive? You are now just presupposing that the action is wrong by arguing that two wrongs don't make a right. Well, I'm asking you to answer
Bueno,
my
no,
question.
esto
What
quítalo,
obligation would
quítalo.
exist in order to
A ver
argue
ahora.
that it's even wrong to begin with?
121 me da
Because, like,
error.
typically, we find
DB,
no issue with
121.
denying access to your
Me da error
resources
aquí.
to a non-consenting third party.
Ah,
even
bueno,
if
claro.
That non-consenting third party would die as a result. I'll
Porque
give you an
esto
analogy.
es una...
Okay, if you made just enough money
Vamos a
to
quitar
buy
esto
just enough
y a
food
quitar
to
esto.
feed yourself, and in the middle of the night for the next 9 months, someone is going to walk in to your house through your front door and take half of your
137.
food, and they're going to continue to do this for the next 9 months, and you know that there's around a 5% chance
Vale.
that at some point in the next 9 months you're going to start
Vale, el slices contains...
as well as
No,
this is
devuelvo un
going
bull,
to have
devuelvo un bull.
significant and
Devuelvo un
drastic
bull.
impacts on your quality of life by
¿Y qué error
physically
tiene aquí?
starving you, giving you physical
Type
trauma, as well as
any does not
mental pain,
satisfy.
anguish, and suffering.
Type E.
Now, to prevent this person from taking your food in the middle of the night, all you got to do is lock your front door. But if you lock your front door and they no longer have access to
vale.
your resources, they'll die from starvation. Do you think you should be legally compelled to keep your front door unlocked at night?
Bar values.
I'm kind of confused. I thought you meant like if a woman has to carry an essay like child, or you know what I mean.
So
Great.
this is a conceptual analogy to
values,
demonstrate.
error.
If my question was
Algo así, a lo
confusing, I
mejor.
could ask it again and try to condense it down.
Okay.
Cannot use raw values,
Come on,
value of
point
type
that we're
any, a
testing
string
here
value
is
in
to see
assignment.
If you think that you would have an unwavering obligation to provide your resources to a non-consenting third party without your consent.
Pues hacemos un
So
un
let's
for y
test
ya
it.
está, ya
Once
chuparla.
again, Somebody is going to be breaking into your house for the next 9 months in the middle of the night without your consent and taking half your food so they could eat it and they could survive. Now, the repercussions of this on you are going to be point number 1. There's a 5% chance that you're going to starve to death because they're taking half your food in the next 9 months, as well as this is going to have significant impacts on your mental and physical health. All that you have to do to prevent them from taking half your food in the middle of the night is to lock your front door. But if you lock your front door and prevent them from coming in and taking half of your resources, they are now going to starve to death because they no longer have any food. Do you think that it should be legally allowed for you to lock your front door at night and prevent that unconsensual third party from taking half of your food, even if they were to starve to death as a result?
Possibly, but only because that person stealing your food already has made the choice. They're an adult human, female or male, that's choosing that action. So like it's their choice to break in when it's just an innocent baby who can't choose.
So now you're saying that the reason why you think that you shouldn't be obligated to give them your resources without your consent is because they're choosing this. Okay? So there's 2 ways that we could work around the difference that you've pointed out. The first way to work around the difference that you've pointed out is just to assume that this person that's stealing half of your food in the middle of the night is sleepwalking. I understand that this sounds egregious. I understand that this sounds like it's not super possible.
That is important and not used, claro, porque me has obligado a no usarlo.
Put it into
8.
the hypothetical question I'm asking you to see if that changes your response to the question. So if the person taking half of your resources in the middle of the night was sleepwalking,
and define H.
They weren't doing
Claro, porque pues aquí H.
They weren't doing it with intention. Do you still think that you should be legally allowed to lock your front door at night to prevent them from taking half of your resources?
I mean, if you said that they will die from starvation, but you only have a 5% death, then
no.
I feel like
tiene que ser así.
I feel like, I mean.
¿Y luego qué más? Too many return values.
Man, I'm trying to understand. Sorry, I know I'm because I'm trying to work through it in my head, but
work through it in your head, bro. Like at the end of the day, all that I'm asking you is, do you think you should be legally compelled to allow people to steal from you?
A ver, podemos saltarnos, en verdad.
Okay. So now you said
declare and not use good habits.
If this person that's taking half of your resources to live is sleepwalking and doing it unintentionally, you should still allowed to be able to cut them off even if they die as a result. Well, this is the conceptual. Now, one moment. Now, this is the conceptual takeaway that we apply in the context of abortion, because all that you told me is that if somebody is taking your
es una mierda que no me dejen. Define context.
Regardless if they're doing it intentionally or not, you are ultimately within your moral and legal right to deny them access.
Cannot call non-function C params. Variable of slice type gin params.
Let's apply this to a victim of rape getting an abortion. That fetus is growing within their uterus to no fault of themselves in any capacity.
Param.
The word fault.
Param, no params.
Yet that fetus is taking their resources to live against the will and consent of the victim.
Después de tanto rato, claro, no hay ningún user. No hay ningún user. Pero si me vengo aquí, either user is not valid or there was an error in the server.
Regardless if it causes the fetus to die or not as a result. Your answer to my hypothetical just justified great victims accessing abortion.
No, because if you deny them, if you lock your door, right? You're not directly unaliving them versus like an abortion. You say the doctor, yes, unalive this human, even though they have the right to.
Vale.
They still have potential.
Si me voy a DB,
to be a human.
Le digo aquí, oye.
Oh, so what you're telling me is that if it didn't directly
que devuelva también un
rather indirectly unalive them as a second consequence of denial of resources, then you'd be okay with it. Guess what? That's what the pill does.
Claro.
The abortion pill stops the supply of progesterone through the umbilical cord from the mother's body to that of the fetus, indirectly unaliving them as a second-order consequence caused by a denial of resources. So, do you
voy a hacer una cosa que no debería hacer, pero main.go router.get
have to have their baby.
But come on, you just told me. You literally just told me that you think it is okay to stop supplying resources to somebody that's taking them without your consent, even if it kills them as a second-order consequence.
¿Qué sería un get o un post? Bueno, es igual, hago un get y
just describe this concept to me. And that's exactly what the abortion pill does. How come you're contradicting yourself?
Because those resources that you stop them from supplying, you can also eat. But the resources that the babies like living off of. You can't access,
y vamos a poner
utilize
que
those resources. So
exec
the baby's the only one
SQL
who can actually use those. So
file.
cutting it off would not be also
¿Vale?
hurting you. It's only hurting them.
Y ya
So
está.
you're
Y
saying
venimos
that
aquí.
pregnancy doesn't hurt rape
Exec
victims?
SQL file.
I mean,
es
the
una
body
func
obviously
C.
it's put under a lot of stress.
Right,
but
exactly. So in my analogy, the conceptual point
Context.
of somebody taking
Que lo
half
que
of
va a
your
hacer
resources
es
is just simply gonna be some
db.exec
type of negative impact
SQL.
on you or your livelihood,
¿Vale?
right? You are going to utilize those resources in
Y ahora
such a
me voy a
way that
db.
will be conducive towards a higher quality
Y ahora
of
creo
life for
aquí una
yourself,
func
because they're taking them, the
db
relevant impact would be a lower
puntero
quality
al
of
tipo
life for
db.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Espérate,
Right?
lo he escrito mal, ¿no?
Now,
Main.
the analogy
Sí, lo he
here,
escrito
as
mal.
it would relate to a victim of rape, would be, well, the pregnancy in of itself would demand a lower quality of life for themselves.
Ahora,
would
exec
negatively impact
SQL.
them. Okay, and because
Y
it
lo que voy a hacer
negatively
aquí
impacts them,
es
it is still yet
básicamente
analogous. Now, what I want you to address, and I want you to be very specific in how you respond to this, is your second to last response to this argument was to suggest the difference between the hypothetical where you said it would be justified and an abortion, which you think is unjustified, is the fact that abortion directly kills the fetus, but if you were to lock your front door at night and deny the burglar your resources, they would only die as a second order consequence of denial of resources. And you said that was the relevant.
Claro, tengo que leer el archivo primero.
Okay. Well, then give me an argument for
El
why
init
an
db.
abortion pill should be legal for rape victims, considering that it's not the direct killing of the fetus, but is rather indirectly killing the fetus by simply cutting off the supply of progesterone through the umbilical cord, starving it to death.
Pelos de punta,
just
Los
like
pelos
the
de
burglar in the
punta.
hypothetical.
Bueno, mira, copio esto y ya está.
I feel like the abortion pill is still it's still kind of directly killing them though.
So if it's directly killing them to stop the supply of resources leading to their starvation, then you're directly killing your burglar by locking the front door at night, stopping the supply of resources, killing them.
So can both just be direct then?
Vale.
Well, if both are direct, then you're
Puedo hacer una
telling me
cosa, puedo
now
poner
that
aquí
you think it is okay to apparently, quote unquote, directly kill somebody if they're taking your resources
URL
without your consent, given your response
que sea un
to the
string.
original hypothetical, meaning that you now think any and all abortions are justified for a victim of rape.
URL. Vale. Y
I
tal,
don't
init
think you can take a human life like
exec
you can't take an
SQL.
innocent- like the burglar is not innocent.
We already
You know
went
what I mean?
over that by positing that they were doing it unintentionally when they were sleepwalking.
Exec SQL.
But abortion, a lot of people get abortions. The abortion pill only works at a certain time.
It actually
Like a
works
lot
up
of
until
abortions are
15 weeks. Vast majority of all abortions are done through the pill.
Don't you still have to get the fetus removed?
Once it's dead. That'd be like taking the dead burglar's body to the morgue. And actually, no. I'm sorry. I was wrong. No, your body naturally flushes it out. I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Sorry, I had a man moment.
So that's such an interesting analogy, actually.
Well, it's an analogy that demonstrates how my point here is so clear.
I guess, but the thing is, I guess
the point of this analogy is just to demonstrate that you could say that the life of the fetus is valuable. You could say that the life of the fetus is unique, innocent, and deserving of the right to life. But you could still yet justify a victim of rape getting an abortion in virtue of the fact that there's no way to articulate why they have an obligation to continue to supply their bodily resources to
main
okay? Right? And I'm
SQL
not giving you this
file
argument to get like a
y la
slam
URL
dunk. I'm giving you
va a
this
ser
argument so you can
punto barra
take
db
us in the
barra
right direction. I think
test
that
SQL.
pro-lifers who
¿Vale?
think victims of rape shouldn't be
Y
able to
ahora vamos a
access abortion
crear
are genuinely
en
evil.
backend
And I value
db
pro-lifers that think victims of rape specifically
test.sql.
should be able to access abortion.
Vamos a crear aquí un
significantly
archivo
more than pro-lifers that don't.
insert
So the purpose of me
into
demonstrating this point to you
users
is just to get you to
name
take that jump from a super bad pro-life
values.
stance to a still bad but less bad pro-life stance.
You agree that you shouldn't get an abortion 99% of the time? Like the other 99?
I I disagree, but I haven't given you my argument for that yet.
Name,
Right
password,
now,
create,
I'm
ok.
trying to convince you that victims of grape should be
Test,
able to
bueno,
access abortion. I
quiero
gave you
abrir
the
otro.
argument. You
Creative,
concede,
bueno,
or
puede
do you
ser.
contest?
No. SQL.
I feel like victims of grape should be given. There's plenty of resource centers out there. They should be given care.
Values y pongo una lista,
comfort as they have to deliver a human life.
Test.
So you contest the argument, but instead of giving me a
password,
counter-argument, you're avoiding it and just reaffirming that
user
they
1.
should be denied access to abortion.
User
My
1.
friend, your brain
Vale,
has
Rafarex,
failed
tío.
you.
Nos
You have
vemos.
been presented with an argument to demonstrate
User
very clearly and
super
articulately
complicated
why you are
password.
wrong. And after I gave you this argument to demonstrate clearly and articulately why you are wrong, you are not accepting the fact that you are wrong, but you are not arguing against it. You're thinking with your emotions instead of
Claro,
your
una cosa que,
rational
bueno,
logical faculties.
supongo que.
And I honestly think that's very evil of you.
Supongo.
You feel
Supongo.
you were a woman. You were
Pongo.
you were impregnated.
Supongo
And then there was 20-year-old
que
women such as yourself
no pasa nada porque cada user tenga la misma contraseña. Pero no me parece muy buena idea y a lo mejor habría que hacer una combinación entre, bueno, el username no, el user ID y password. Digamos, vale. Un segundo, Tim. ¿Puedes callarte un segundito? A ver, os explico. Adiós, Rafarex, tío, pásalo bien. A ver, la idea que estoy teniendo es, básicamente, cuando tú inicias sesión en tu cuenta, ¿vale? Tú pones tu usuario y contraseña. A mí me gusta mucho que los usuarios puedan escoger el nombre de usuario que quieran, ¿vale? Por lo tanto, el nombre del usuario tiene que ir independiente del identificador del usuario para que se puedan repetir usuarios, ¿vale? Es un poco rollo porque luego, en plan, para intentar buscarlo, pues... Pero, bueno, a través del identificador, esto sí, el backend está bien hecho, a través del identificador pues se puede hacer, ¿no? La idea sería que, claro, si yo y mi amigo José, por ejemplo, tenemos cuentas y queremos poner la misma contraseña, ¿vale? No, que yo sepa, no hay en ningún sitio que no te permita poner una contraseña porque esa contraseña ya está cogida, ¿vale? Además sería un poco raro que te dijera, esa contraseña ya está cogida, que además te ponga, ha sido cogida por el usuario. ¿Te imaginas? Pero sí que, en plan, es un poco raro que te diga que no puedes coger una contraseña, ¿no? Entonces, yo lo que estaba pensando es, para que yo pueda repetir contraseña, o sea, para que los usuarios puedan repetir contraseñas y que eso no sea un problema a la hora de, cuando tú inicias sesión, pues que no inicies sesión en otra cuenta con tu contraseña y que puedas entrar, ¿no? Pues que no solo valides el usuario y la contraseña, sino que tengas como una especie de... Digamos que la contraseña tú no la guardas como la estoy guardando yo ahora como un varchar, sino que la guardas como un plan codificada, de tal forma de que cuando tú codificas la contraseña que te da el usuario y lo comparas con lo que tenías guardado, entonces te dice que está bien, ¿vale? Y la gracia está en que así la base de datos no guarda la contraseña como tal. Lo único que guarda es digamos, la codificación y si alguien consigue sacar la información de ahí, lo único que tiene es la codificación que, o sea, en plan, no funcionaría en todo caso porque si codificas la codificación sale otro número, ¿vale? Y entiendo, no lo sé, pero entiendo que no es reversible la aplicación. O sea, la codificación. Entonces, al no ser reversible, tú tienes digamos, un código en el que supuestamente representa la contraseña del usuario. Y cuando el usuario mete la contraseña, se codifica, se compara y digamos, la persona que está en el backend o el ordenador que está en el backend no sabe la contraseña que ha escrito el usuario. Bueno, en plan, lo sabe porque la escribe, ¿no? Pero me refiero que no sabe si la contraseña que ha escrito es igual a la que hay, pero una vez la codifica sí que puede comparar y decir, vale, sí es la misma, ¿vale? Y esta sería como una forma de... Porque además, tú lo, digamos, lo codificarías en el front, ¿no? En el JavaScript, y luego en el back tú solo ves lo codificado y dices, vale, lo comparo con lo que hay y ya está, ¿vale? Y es una forma de seguridad para que nadie pueda cogerte la contraseña ni nada. Entonces, para poder repetir la contraseña, claro, si yo tengo dos usuarios con la misma contraseña, si yo por lo que sea pongo el usuario del otro y pongo mi contraseña, me dejará entrar porque solo está comparando la contraseña. Y como son la misma, va a tener la misma codificación y por lo tanto va a tener el mismo resultado. Entonces, hay varias formas de hacerlo. Se puede hacer por el timestamp, pero no es muy... O sea, en plan, a ver, es muy tiquismiquis, ¿no? ¿Qué pasa si dos usuarios tienen la misma timestamp y no sé qué tal? Yo creo que es más sencillo hacerlo por el identificador único del usuario. Es decir, coger la tupla del identificador del usuario y la contraseña y codificar eso. Entonces, al codificar eso, tienes, digamos, como un valor único que solo es para el usuario porque tienes el identificador único y luego tienes la contraseña. Entonces, sabemos 100% que va a ser un valor único por el identificador único y luego tenemos la contraseña del usuario que nos permite saber si de verdad es el usuario el que se está intentando identificar. Autentificar, no sé cómo se dice. Yo haría algo así. Entonces, bueno, eso supongo que va a ser trabajo para más adelante, porque ahora, en plan, solo va a haber un usuario, que voy a ser yo. Pero bueno, está interesante ver ya cositas así. Y a lo mejor me saldría a cuenta escribírmelo en algún lado. Vale. Vamos a cerrar, vamos a abrir esto. Too many return values, have and want. Vale, vale, sí, cierto. Debe es aquí. Error. Ahora debe de undefined rm con ctx. Vale. rn. Vale, aquí. Load query. Pues esto estaba puesto arriba, ¿no? 35. rn está puesto aquí. Load query. Claro, no lo he actualizado esto. Init db. Estaba mal puesto eso, pues menos mal que lo acabo de ver. Check user, exec SQL file, vale, entonces define ctx, vale, ¿dónde está el ctx? Aquí. db.ctx. Vale, esto ha funcionado. Y recuérdame cuál era main. Tengo que hacer test SQL. Test SQL, vale. Test SQL. Si yo voy a habit user, no hace nada, porque no hay nada. Si yo hay test SQL, ahora se tendría que haber ejecutado exec SQL internal server error column user 1 does not exist. Vale. Uy. Test SQL. Column 1 does not exist. Que he hecho mal. A ver. Insert into values Postgres. Insert. A ver si unos ejemplos por aquí. Insert into film values. Vale, muy bien. Insert into films. Y le pone las columnas, values y tal. Puede ser que sea por las comillas simples, ¿eh? O sea, eso vamos a mirarlo. S, doble comilla y lo cambio por comilla simple. ¿Vale? Y lo hago por todo. Yes. Vale. Entonces, si ahora vuelvo a ejecutarlo esto, ¿qué me da? File was executed successfully. Vale. Y ahora, si yo busco en API habits user, me va a decir nanay, no existe user. Y si pongo user 1, me va a decir nanay, no existe user 1. Pero si yo pongo user 1, user is valid. User is valid. User is valid. Vale, esto es bueno. Esto es bueno. Es bueno, ¿eh? Es buenardo, es buenardo. User is valid. Hemos conseguido validar un usuario. Muy sencillito, pero hemos conseguido que si voy al usuario, el usuario es validado. Vale. Perfecto. Ahora, tendríamos que coger los hábitos del usuario, ¿no? Entonces, esto lo podríamos comentar ya. Podríamos insert into habits y pondríamos... Claro, tendría... Ah, claro. Claro, ¿cómo lo voy a hacer ahora, Ay, Dios mío. A ver. ¿Cómo lo podría hacer esto? A ver, podemos hacer una cosa, que es en plan poner un input text ahí gigante y de texto y empezar a escribir nosotros por nuestra cuenta. Por cierto, son las 10 y no he cenado y me gustaría cenar, ¿vale? Me gustaría cenar. Entonces, no sé qué hacerme para cenar, la verdad. No sé qué hacerme para cenar. Mientras lo pienso, os dejo a Dean Withers por aquí. Lo dejo aquí, ¿vale?
You're probably even like
Voy a ir a...
I wouldn't even call you
anti-birth.
I think that you're pro controlling women.
Estoy cenando.
No, I'm pro giving every human the chance no matter the circumstances.
Unless it's in the
A ver,
analogy that I gave you that was,
o ceno yo tranquilito por mi cuenta.
related to an instance of
Es que me
women
molaría
abortion,
seguir, la verdad.
and had true 100%
Mira,
logical
ceno yo por mi
correlation
cuenta
between
y en todo caso, si veo que
Unless it's
estoy
in that
motivado y
analogy.
quiero volver, ya vuelvo, ¿vale? Vuelvo a hacer directo. Pero de momento bien. O sea, yo
don't
creo
get
que
that
bastante
analogy.
guay. Hemos avanzado
We
en...
can move on.
Wait, you've already affirmed that you do get it, and now you're just asking
Hemos
me to
avanzado en
Okay, we
esto.
can move on to my next guest. Let's go to get that next guest loaded into the live. Hop in that queue if you support Trump. We're gonna go to get that next guest loaded into the stream right now.
¿Cuál era el problema?
I'm
Ah,
telling
sí,
you guys,
que no
there
puedo
is
leer,
no argument for why victims of
que no
should
puedo
be denied
leer
access to abortion.
el
They
resultado,
don't
claro.
exist. There is not one. But we're going to go to get that next Trump supporter loaded into the live right now, you guys. Take a good look. If you happen to be in that queue, make sure it's because you are an American adult that supports Trump. We are just simply looking for some
Claro,
debates. If you come up
main.co.
here and you're violating the rules, if you're not an American MAGA supporter, I am going to ban you. I am going to ban you very, very quickly, so don't even try it. But let's go to move on to the next guest. We got Woman George.
A ver,
checking into the
supongo,
stream right now. I'd also like to thank
supongo.
Marcastic and Olivia for the $5 over on Super Chat, as well as Naughty with the $10, saying, I don't know why it's mainly the men, the ones who don't have to worry about getting the abortion, that are always riled up about it. There are bigger problems in the world. I mean, it's just not even a problem at all. I don't think there's any problem with abortion whatsoever. What's up, George? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
How old are you?
30.
Awesome. Let me thank a couple people real quick. First and foremost, Tyler. This was 40 minutes ago with the very
A ver,
first
podemos
donation
hacer un
of the
get
stream.
users y ya está,
Tyler
¿sabes?
with the $25 says Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for the love, Tyler. Show some love to Tyler down below in that chat, y'all. As well as Trina, thank you for the $10 on Venmo, saying I got into debating. You're an inspiration and amazing at what you do. Keep going. Thank you, Trina. Then Bailey with the $15. Thank you so much for the love. As well as I just read your message there, Bailey. I'm going to keep that one to myself.
Vamos a hacer un get
I'm really
users.
sorry that happened to you, and I'm happy that you're out of that now.
Router.get.
Thank you so much for the $15, Bailey. As well as Rosh with the 10, Garrett and Caitlin
Las
with the
API,
5, Kelly with the 10,
users.
Tierney with the 3. You guys are awesome. Thank you so
Get
much for the love.
users.
Go ahead and take it away, George. Why do you support Trump?
Debe get users.
Are we allowed to jump off of the past argument, or?
I don't know. 40 minutes of men telling me that victims of rape should be denied access to abortion is probably all I want. All I want for now. So why don't you tell me why you support Trump? Unless you also happen to support the 34-count felon, adjudicated rapist, man that fulfills all 14 tenets of fascism, has violated our Constitution 6 times in the last 250 days, simply because you think that 10-year-old victims of rape should be forced to maintain.
Ahora.
I just feel like you could change the analogy when you're talking about the sleepwalker. I just don't think it tracks for people to follow. Because I think they get stuck on, oh, I think this makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Right? Because if you had...
Appreciate you for your insight. Why do you support Trump?
If you had the sleepwalker, right, and he literally had no other access to any other resources,
then yeah, I think it should be illegal to say
Y
no
es
to that
hacer esto,
sleepwalker, right? If there was no other option, yes,
es
definitely should
hacer
be illegal to
esto.
not allow that person access to your resources.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Now, why do you support Trump?
Do you disagree to that?
Yeah.
Because I think that breaks apart your argument.
Well, it doesn't break apart the argument. It would just call for a new argument for you, since you yield an unintuitive outcome in that hypothetical. However, once again,
How is that unintuitive?
Yeah, because the consequence of that would be is that you should be legally obligated to allow people to steal your resources.
¿Cómo era para append?
That's incredibly unintuitive, right?
Get habits.
Well, no, because that person has no other option. I think you need to give up your resources to let that person have life.
Right.
Get
You're
habits
just
by
explaining why you're giving an unintuitive conclusion.
Habits append,
of the
habits
idea
H.
that you should be legally
No,
obligated.
lo estoy haciendo bien,
Do you
¿no?
disagree?
Estoy haciendo
If there
lo
were
mismo que
no
ahí, pero-
other homes and your home was the only home,
users
Right, yeah, I do
igual
I
a
don't think that you should be legally obligated to allow
append
people to steal your resources
users,
without your will against your
user.
consent if it might kill you as a result.
y esto
I
de
do.
return false,
I do. So why do
nil,
you support Trump?
rows,
I'm not going to tell you that again.
return, nil, scan,
I think
y
that
aquí
40 minutes of men
return
telling me that once
users,
again, 10-year-olds that were
nil.
raped and impregnated should be forced to continue pregnancy.
Vale, aquí así.
40 minutes of that for the days.
Vamos a cerrar esto, vamos
So
a
why do you
hacerlo otra
support Trump,
vez. Pam,
Mr.
pam.
Feel free to-
API users, ¿no? No, espérate. Me falta una cosa.
Click on your profile
Main.go,
picture, click the icon
debe
above.
get users y esto, me falta esto.
George, you have to unmute.
Falta esto.
George doesn't know how to unmute. George, click on the profile picture right there. Okay, you'll see a screen pop up with an icon of the microphone. Click
Users,
the icon of the microphone. Okay.
users.
George doesn't know how to do it. George, I have like 75-year-old men that have never used this app before figured out faster than you, my friend. Okay, I'm going to need you to attempt to unmute yourself. I'll be able to send you an invite to unmute in 5 seconds. In fact, I'll show everybody me sending George an invite to unmute. He just simply can't fucking figure it out. Watch this. Boom. Moderator Dean invited George to turn on the microphone. There you go.
I was following your directions, Dean. Don't worry, it just wasn't allowing me to click the unmute.
Okay,
Vale,
so why
otra
do you
vez.
support Trump?
Well, I just feel like the sleepwalker thing you keep.
Okay.
Gone
Are you just
busy.
are you going to
You-
continue to
you need to
belligerently
change.
disrespect my rules? My friend,
Are you going to interrupt me?
yes, absolutely. I will absolutely interrupt you, given the fact that I've already asserted that I like your argument insofar as why you support President Trump, and you were refusing
This
to give it to
SQL.
me and stalling, the live and the productive conversations that could unfold. in
A ver,
front of
primero de
over
todo,
14,000
API
people. Have some
users.
decency, respect the rules. Either give a
Unable
reason
to
why you
connect.
support
Me
Trump
cago
or
en
get
su
sent
puta
back to the
madre.
comment section.
Error trying to get usernames. Fail to deallocate catch
Well, I think the
statement.
abortion
Gone busy.
reason is a good way to support
Eso
Trump.
no sé por qué ha pasado.
Alright, so
Si lo hago otra
think
vez,
that all that you need
ahora
to
sí que me los
support Trump
devuelve.
is saying that you
0
support forcing
user,
them
1
to
user,
be
2, 2
able to
user.
disagree.
Vale, muy bien.
Is that the law that he's trying
Vale,
to pass?
claro, lo he
Is
hecho
that
mal.
it-
Lo he hecho
that
mal
he
porque yo
shouldn't
lo que quería.
allow 10-year-olds to follow through with their
Tío, me he liado ya a.
babies.
Donald
Tío, me
Trump
pasa mucho
wants
esto,
states
qué
to have
rabia.
full and
Quería hacer una
complete
tontería
autonomy
y me pongo a hacerlo todo.
access to abortion in certain circumstances,
Vale.
including in circumstances of rape, which has led to the consequences of
ID,
states
name.
banning abortion in all circumstances of
Bueno,
rape
con eso ya me
for
sirve.
people of all ages.
Bar ID.
So he's doing that right now. Then he's actively trying to make that happen.
Well, he actively tried to make that happen in his first term, and he got it done in his first term by electing 3 Supreme Court justices that inevitably overturned Roe v. Wade.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure that's still
Bueno, ¿no?
ongoing. Like they're still trying to figure that out.
Pues voy a tener que crear un type. Un type aquí arriba. Se está haciendo largo, el archivo. Se está haciendo largo.
10-year-olds are forced to carry babies to term.
Type user struct, que es un ID
10 of
int
the states, really.
Yes.
int. Int.
And which states are those?
I know that I know
JSON,
Georgia's one, Alabama's
JSON,
the other. I don't know if you'll be able to
JSON,
articulate
ID.
the names of the other 8 states.
Bueno, comilla.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
ID,
I just
comilla.
didn't,
Y cierro.
I didn't know that.
Y luego
Do you have
name,
any reasons why
que
you
es un
support
string.
Trump?
Y luego el JSON, dos puntos, name.
Okay, all right. Well, that's
cierro.
very disrespectful. I mean,
Y
you just stalled the live
luego
in front of
password.
14,000
Well,
people.
technically, what you're doing is
You just stalled the
Password.
live for
Bueno, password no,
14,000
pero...
people, an belligerent disrespect of the rules.
Bueno, sí, ya está bien así.
But
Sí,
of
sí,
course,
está bien.
that's what we would
Porque
expect
¿para
out
qué
of
quiero
people,
el resto?
that think that
Yo qué sé, 188.
Why would they care
Pues
about
casi.
stalling the live in front of over 14,000?
Esto
We're
es
gonna move on to the next guest right now.
un array de
Hop in next
user.
to you support Trump. Let's get them up
Y
here right now.
esto,
Those of you guys want to support me, you can find my Venmo in the link tree in my bio.
var user es
yeah,
un
what's up?
user.
Do you support Trump?
¿Vale? Y scan
Yeah, are you MAGA?
user.id.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Y user
32.
Great. Real
user
quick before I ask you why,
punto
I'd like to
name.
thank Addy for the $23
Append
over on
user
PayPal.
user y user
I'm sorry, that's Adam. Adam, thank you for the $23 over on PayPal. Adam says, it is my 23rd birthday today, so
Puse 1, 2,
here's
3, 4.
$23 and also happy
Vale.
birthday to
Bueno,
yourself.
claro.
Thank you for supporting trans rights as a trans man. Adam, thank you so much for the love,
User,
man. I really appreciate that. Everybody, please show some love to Adam down below as well as happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. Is what thank you for $25 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you.
¿Cómo te lo digo? ¿Cómo te lo digo?
Stacey, I'm sorry, for the $20 on PayPal. Stacey didn't leave a message, only the love. Let's get 200 Stacey.
¿Por qué me busca el favicon? No lo quiero el favicon. Déjame, suéltame el brazo.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Suéltame el brazo.
Susan with a 50 says, Dean, do they ever understand the concepts of women's rights? Keep it up. Thank you,
Vale.
Susie. Susie, they don't. And thank you so much for the love. Let's get 500.
Me voy a cenar, ahora sí. Me voy a cenar, porque son las 10 casi media. Así que nada, si me da tiempo, hago directo, pero probablemente no me dé tiempo. Así que yo estoy muy contento ya con que tenemos los users y ya gestiono un poquito más lo de envío, recibo. Entonces, vamos a empezar a hacer cositas guays. ¿Cuáles son los next steps? No lo sé. A lo mejor me pongo a pensar esto entre hoy y mañana. Y mañana o pasado a lo mejor ya empezamos a hacer en plan como una task list de cosas que hacer en la aplicación. Pero estoy muy contento. Muy contento de que se esté funcionando por una vez en la vida. Y otra cosa que hay pendiente es mover el backend a un Docker container. Porque me gustaría que estuviera en un Docker container y que fuera como todo súper agnóstico de mi sistema y de todo, ¿vale? Así que nada, está pendiente hacer eso, pero de momento pues al carvazo está ¿vale? Así que nada, nos vemos en el siguiente streaming. Me lo voy a poner grande. ¡Ah! Nos vemos en el siguiente streaming. Voy a hacer esto. Y pues nada, pasadlo bien y descansad y todo, ¿vale? Un besazo. Un besazo, ¿no? ¿Qué?
First and foremost, the PACT Act wasn't a little bit of eligibility. It literally made 1 million ineligible veterans now eligible for service. And
Venga, me
what
voy.
specifically did Donald Trump do that you support? I tried to
Adiós,
follow you there, I got a little bit
adiós.
confused.
Dora,
Specifically,
dile adiós
that you support
a la
that you support
gente.
as president.
Y ahora aparece aquí Dora.
The HR 740
Hola.
Veterans Access Act.
Adiós, gente.
Okay, and what does it do?
It's basically subjugating and privatizing the veterans' healthcare.
So it's privatizing the VA. And how does it privatize the VA?
It's already the VA is already privatized. As
Okay, well, if it's
Dora, dile adiós a la gente. Dora, dile adiós a la gente.
So then what does it do?
Adiós, adiós.
You
Adiós,
realize
adiós.
the
¡Ah!
right?
Adiós.